Hello, everyone. Welcome to HY Dyslexia podcast. All things dyslexia. It's such a great, awesome day today. We have the amazing Jo Davidson, who is the director of Dragonfly Education Support, who will be speaking to us about dyslexia and tech. Now, just to say that technology has helped me so much as a dyslexic person to be able to thrive in the workplace, in my personal life, and so forth. And it's so amazing to have someone like Jo, who is so brilliant at the work she does in all the different dyslexia software, or should I say tech, that helps us as individuals with dyslexia, dyspraxia, dyscalculia, and all the other dys's that I struggle with, to be able to thrive. Because without tech, I don't really know where I'd be right now. When I met Jo, I was just like, wow, this is just amazing. She will be speaking to us today about dyslexia and tech. And I just first of all want to say thank you for the help and support from the funded organisation, National Lottery Community Fund, Social Enterprise Support Fund, and Resonance Limited. We really are so grateful for the funding that we get to be able to produce this podcast and bring it to thousands and thousands and millions of homes. My name is Elizabeth Techi. I'm the CEO and the founder of HY Dyslexia, and it's amazing to be here today. Jo, welcome to HY Dyslexia podcast. How are you feeling?
I'm good, thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on our podcast today. We call it All Things Dyslexia because it's actually all things dyslexia. But today's topic is specifically on dyslexia and tech, which is very close to my heart. Tech has helped me so much to be where I am today. And I just want you to tell our listeners who you are, a little bit about your background and why you do the job you do.
Okay, so I was diagnosed personally with dyslexia in the last year of my university degree, so it's 2010. I literally got diagnosed and I only had a month left of my degree, so it was very late on. So I was doing a teaching degree and found out that there were a lot of different disabilities out there, including dyslexia and dyspraxia. And I wanted to kind of do more to help those people, and found out about the disabled students allowance. And I work for a company who have helped me progress to where I am today. And I absolutely love what I do. I just find it so rewarding, and it's really lovely to see students to thrive and succeed in the work that they do. The technology side of things helps students get the support that they need in regards to being able to write essays, recording lectures, and those sorts of things. And that support is fantastic. And I also do a little bit of study skills, mentoring support, and other things like that. So I'm kind of all-rounded teacher with everything, but obviously today we're looking at the aspects of tech.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jo. Oh, this is just so amazing. Now, you don't just do or teach DSA students. You also teach technology for starters, if I can use that word. Is that the right word to use?
Yeah, I mean, it's yes, it's, I guess it's people that are new to tech. I have taught a range of different age ranges with dyslexia, but also generally in people who struggle with tech. Technology has grown so much over the course of the years that it's become something that we've all had to kind of start to introduce into our lives, whether we wanted to or not, really, because a lot of companies will work with emails and sending files and documents. So a lot of things are now online. So it's important that I can help with people just generally help send emails, working on Word, because a lot of people find it really difficult to even know how to open up a Word document and start an essay or start a bit of writing. And the same with an email. A lot of people find it difficult to write an email and then getting the email address right. So obviously you're sending it to the right person and it not getting lost in junk or being sent to someone else. And also attaching photos. I mean, I know that a lot of people like to send photos, and especially during COVID, there's been quite a lot of people wanting to send photos of things that they've been up to during the COVID period. And through emails, people have been able to do that, and also on your phone, and technology on how to send a picture message on WhatsApp or iMessage or whatever platform you're using. So yeah, it's a lot of people who have different needs on what they need, really, depending on what situation they're in.
Oh, wow. It's absolutely fantastic. Honestly, Jo, the work you do is amazing, honestly, because I know 20 years ago, I didn't even know where the alphabet A was on a keyboard when I started university. It was such a struggle for me. And slowly and gradually, I sometimes have to stand back and give myself a little pat on my back and say, you've done quite well. Because in our days, we used the old typewriter with a ribbon. I'm giving my age away here.
Yeah.
And tech was not the thing. But right now, it's like, listen, it's moving so fast.
Yeah.
If you don't move with it, you're going to be left behind, you know?
No, it's something that is now in schools constantly as a subject. I mean, I say back in my day as well, I remember the internet actually coming into place, and remembering the dial-up tone, and no one could be on the telephone while you were on the internet. I remember all of that, and it's amazing to see where we're up to now. And yeah, I was the same. We had, very basic, handwriting was pretty much I had to do for all my essays and my exams, and we did have use of a typed laptop, but yes, there was very little around, so it is amazing how far we've become.
I'm so grateful that we've made that connection, because there's a lot of tech out there for me as a dyslexic person. Since I've had some training with you, it's just become like it's like a brand new world that's open to me.
Yeah.
For example, when I have to write my essays, or if I have to write an email, or if I have to, use all the different tech that you've taught me, it's just made my life so much easier.
Yeah, there is a lot of concern around internet safety, and a lot of people not sure what websites to go on, and so there is a lot of concern about security and safety. So I do run through that with people, just to make sure that they are safe and happy to use the internet, because it is a whole new world out there, and there is a lot out there now that you can put in. You can even speak to devices now and it will give you some answers. So it's rather than asking my mum, it's now asking
asking Google.
Siri or Google or whoever to answer the question for me. So it's very different.
Wonderful. Now, your journey with dyslexia, I just want you to talk a little bit about your journey with dyslexia, Jo, because it has not been easy, has it?
It hasn't been an easy journey, no. I was diagnosed very late at university. It was during my teaching degree, and I'm surprised that none of the university picked it up beforehand. So I must have been I was trying really hard and always worked for my best ability. So I was able to get my degree, and I'm very, very proud of what I got because of the situation I was in. And actually, in hindsight, I could have had support, but it was too late. I only had a month left, and by that point, it takes a few months to process things and things to come through, as you're aware of, it just wasn't done in time, really. So I did get my degree. I still got my teaching degree. I did later go on and do some other top-up courses in adult teaching as well, so I have them to my name, and some autism training. So I was able to go on and do other things, I was able to use the support of the software and technology, which we use every day now, and found out that what each of the software does. But it was really scary at the time, being diagnosed very late and wondering how that was going to affect my future. And a lot of people saying you can't teach because you're dyslexic, which is completely not right at all. We are in fact probably the better of teachers in one way, because we know what it's like and can understand how children or adults may be feeling, and that is one of the things you can't really be taught that you can't be taught that experience. So the experience has definitely helped me on my journey and where I am today.
Oh, that's absolutely wonderful, Jo. Honestly, anyone who's listening right now and feeling that, listen, that they're going through challenges at the moment at university or in the workplace, and really just feel like giving up, please don't give up. There is hope.
Yeah.
And I know Jo's a typical example, and I am a typical example of that as well.
Yeah.
There is hope out there, and please do, kind of like Jo said, you can find out things online, on Google, whatever help and support you need. And, you can move on from there. Because I do know that once I actually got my dragon and all my inspiration and Clara Reid and all those things that I was given 20 years ago, it was a completely different world for me. This is why HY was set up. I was like, hang on a minute, there's help out there. Why am I struggling? And DSA have been absolutely amazing as well.
Any problems that people face, please don't hold back and look online for help. There's a lot of support out there. There's a lot of charities out there. There's also really important, one thing I would mention with mums and dads who have children, and if they the mum and the dad have dyslexia, it could well be that their son or daughter may have it. They might not have it, but they could. Please fight for that child, because there is nothing out there for primary school age children as much as there is for older people. So it's really important to fight for it and make sure that you can get an assessment. And when the schools are saying about tests and getting an assessment and psychologist, please try to do it. It is a very expensive process, but at the end of the day, it is your child's education, and it will really help support them going forward.
And it is so worth it.
It's
so worth it, honestly.
It will stop people like myself and yourself struggling through different educational backgrounds, and it will also mean that they have got a future ahead. Even if they choose to go to university or not, it still will help them, especially in the future with any job that they do.
Wonderful. And of course, this is UK based, isn't it? The support we're talking about is more UK based. So if somebody's listening sort of in Australia or something, it might all be different, isn't it? That the system is completely different.
No, I mean, I know there's a lot of people out there who do tech training or tech support. You can just go on to tuition websites. There's quite a lot of tuition websites out there now, and on those tutor pages you can search for ICT help or IT help, or computer technology help, anything like that, and it will come up with a list of tuition tutors who are on there. So I imagine that would be similar in anywhere else in the world, that there will be tutors out there.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much for that, Jo. Now I'm going to move on to the next question. It's really important that I ask this. What are some of the advantages of tech? Now, I've had that taste and I've had that experience, and I know that my whole world right now is based on tech. I can't even deny that. We are picking up our phones 24/7. Everything is done on our phones. I think I probably use my phone a lot more than I even use my laptop. Obviously, that's for work.
The advantages of techs are really good to be able to work with education, so to help you when you're working at school or university. You can look things up. You can go and have a look at kind of Microsoft Word to type an essay. You can talk to your computer these days and it will type back for you, like Dragon, but also other platforms will do that too. So that will help type things up for you. You can organize your calendar, which will send alarms and reminders to you. You can even now set up to have your shopping list on there, so you can talk and it would then type up your shopping list for you. So when you're in the shop, you've got your shopping list on your phone. So there's numerous things that are out there which will help. And it's also to be in contact with people across the world, and it's become really more important over the COVID period, where we have done a lot of Zoom calls, a lot of Skype calls these days, so that you can be in contact with family that live across the world, and you can send them photos and things like that and work together.
Thank you so much for that. Now, Jo, we know that some of these what shall I call them, gadgets, computers, softwares can be very, very pricey. Some of these can be very expensive. Now, there is also some freebies that one can tap into. You can download some of these free support for tech for free, can't you? What are an example of some of these? I mean, I know Microsoft has something called dictation that I tend to use sometimes as well, and it comes with the computer. Is there a couple of 3 or 4 sort of freebies that you can mention?
Yeah, I mean, all the Windows and Mac computers out there now will have dictation available to them at a click of a button, so you can just use it through Windows or Apple Mac. And also, as you say, through the Office packages such as Word and PowerPoint. So those are all there for you. You have also got some reading software that are free to download. So you can just type into Google reading software, and that will come up with a range of different software packages for you to read back your work to you, or read any a book or anything that you're looking at. There's ones particularly for referencing that will help you if you are at university or doing any education, that will help you with references lists, which is fantastic. And there's a lot of different ones out there. There's one or two which what I would say are my favorites, but there's lots out there that you can use. And there's also a lot out there in regards to different ways of presenting PowerPoint. So you can now do different you don't have to do the good old fashioned slide by slide. There's ones that look like almost like a spider's web, that you can then go off in different angles. And involved in that also includes mind mapping as well. So there's a lot of planning software that you can download for free to help you with planning anything that you're doing in your day-to-day life or education. It can be used, it's versatile, so it can be used throughout your work.
Of course. And some of these tech may not work for everybody. Now, it depends on your dyslexia assessment reports, isn't it? Where the assessor would perhaps recommend something. So just because Dragon worked for me may not necessarily work for you. Is that right in what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, there is a few things that a lot of people kind of find with using Dragon, is that it can be quite difficult to look into a book and then trying to turn those words into rephrasing it, because of a lot of the work that you do at university, you can't put the direct quote. Sometimes you can't help but put the direct quote, but they prefer to have non-direct quotes. So to try and reword that in your head when you're reading it and then talking it into Dragon can be quite difficult. So a lot of people might write things down first and then say it into Dragon. And yeah, a lot of the software will have, a lot of people will find that mind mapping just confuses them. Other people will find that they absolutely love it and they've used it before. I tend to find if students have done mind mapping at school, because there's quite a lot at school. I remember doing a lot of mind mapping and presentations and things like that, that if they're used to that skill, then they will be able to use that going further into their life. But if it's a brand new thing, they may struggle a little bit to get their head around it, because mind maps can become quite complicated. So it's just about what's user friendly. And I think on the whole, most people do kind of get a build up of their own profile, and with their own personal profile, they're able to kind of think, actually, what do I struggle with, and which software would be beneficial for me to help me with my difficulties. And the dyslexia report and the psychologist will identify those difficulties for you, so you can then kind of close down on your search and find out areas which, or software that's going to help you.
Wonderful. So someone hasn't had the dyslexia assessment, but they are struggling to read or to spell or to remember what they've read. What free software could you recommend that is quite general for everybody?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what platform you're on. There's Claro Read, is a general readback text software, but you can actually get it on the website for free if it's just for Claro Speak. So Claro Speak is an application for your phone, and that will speak out loud for you. Your phone these days, most phones will read back text for you as well. So there is a couple out there. There's also one called Natural Readers, which is a reading piece of software that will read it back to you. So there are a couple out there that are free to download. It's just a question of having a look. For anything for speech recognition like Dragon, you're really it's quite narrow based at the moment. So most of it is either using your computer or using Dragon or Microsoft Office these days.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jo. This is so useful. Now, just before we go, what advice do you have for anyone who's in education and really feel like, listen, I can't do this anymore, in terms of trying to finish their assignment or dissertation or a PhD, whatever they call it, report, or whatever they have to do? What advice would you give to that individual?
I would say to seek help, ask for help. It is very, very difficult, and I understand what it's like to ask for help. It can be really difficult. And I know that what it's like as well if people have got mental health difficulties and they feel quite depressed and upset by the diagnosis and not quite sure where to go for support. There is always, at the universities, there is always a disabled support team there who are there to help you with anything that you need help with. And they will be there to kind of see through the progress. Most tutors should know that there is that support system. So even if you ask your tutor of your course, they should then also direct you to the student support team at the university. At schools, they do have SBLD tutors to help you. So they are there as well, which is specific learning difficulty. So they're there to help. So you can also speak to your doctor as well. So if you're struggling just in the general world, you haven't got this, you're not education or anything like that, then please speak to your doctor and they'll be able to help you with organising anything like that as well.
Wonderful. And in the workplace?
Yes, in the workplace, there is a scheme called Access to Work, which does help people get things like Dragon, the Claro Read, the mind mapping software, does help get them to receive that equipment, which is a scheme definitely worth looking into, and that will offer you support and technology support while you're at during your workplace.
Wonderful. Wonderful. And this is only the UK, for the UK only, isn't it? Access to Work.
Yeah,
of course. Wonderful. Fantastic, Jo. Absolutely fantastic. Now, how do we get in touch with you? And is that
Dragonfly Educational Support.co.uk.
Fantastic. And just for our listeners as well, we will share it in a caption of the podcast when eventually we share it on all our different platforms. Do follow us, do like the podcast, do put comments down for us. The only way we can make things better is by reading your comments and moving on from there. Now, I'd just like to say thank you so much, Jo, for coming on to A2I Dyslexia podcast, all things dyslexia.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. Well, thank you for inviting me. It's been good to talk all things tech.
Wonderful. Thanks, Jo. Have a lovely evening. And of course, to our listeners, we'll be back next week, same time, same place, with a different topic. I hope wherever you are, you're having a wonderful day. And again, I want to say a very big thank you to Onye-Morris, who's a researcher for our podcast, and Yola Pioski, who does all the production for A2I Dyslexia podcast. A very big thank you. There's no way that we could do this by ourselves. Our guest speakers, our researchers, and our producer make it all happen. So massive thank you to everybody. Thank you, everyone. Have a lovely evening. Bye-bye.
The Aspire to Inspire All Things Dyslexia podcast is funded by National Lottery Community Fund, Social Enterprise Support Fund, and Resonance Limited. It's presented by Elizabeth Tashi and produced and distributed by Salt and Pepper Productions.